Welcome to Crime Podcastle Unsolved Mystery Series, episode 56. We're diving deep into a case that's going to stay with you. It's unsettling, really, the Narela Honor Killing. Back in 2010, this happened in Delhi. And it really, I think, makes you think about the dark side of tradition, like when love and tradition just clash, and the fallout is just, well, devastating.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see how this case reveals a society that's caught between like the modern world and these ancient customs. And I think it forces us to examine how ideas like honor can drive people to do unthinkable things.
Absolutely. At the heart of it all, you have this young couple, Asha, who's just 20, and Yogesh, 22. They fell in love, dreamed of a future together. Typical, right. But their love story was, well, it was a challenge to everything their community believed in. They came from different castes, and that's a line you just did not cross.
Can you imagine that? The weight of like generations of tradition just pressing down on you. The caste system in India, it's not just, like a social ladder. It's deeply woven into their lives, dictating everything. Who you talk to, what you can do, even who you can love. Asha and Yogesh choosing each other, that was a huge rejection of everything they were raised to believe.
It's almost impossible to imagine living in a world where your love is seen as some kind of betrayal. But that was their reality. They eloped early in 2010, getting married in secret. It was their only way to escape the pressure, the judgment, the expectations of their community.
It was incredibly brave, don't you think? I mean, to elope like that. But it also shows you just how much pressure families face in these situations. The idea that the family's honor, their reputation is somehow tied to the actions of their children.
And for Asha's family, when the couple came back to Narela, it wasn't a happy reunion, not at all. It was a crisis. They were furious, seeing their return as this huge stain on their honor.
It's chilling, really, how societal pressures can warp people's sense of right and wrong. To the point where violence becomes, I don't know, not just acceptable, but the only way to fix things, to reclaim what they believe they've lost.
And that's what happened. On May 10, 2010, Asha's family tricked them. They invited the couple home, pretending they wanted to reconcile. And Asha and Yogesh, desperate for acceptance, they walked right into a trap.
The fact that they used deception, pretending to want peace, it shows you how deep this belief in family honor runs. It's like basic human compassion just goes out the window. Violence becomes the answer, a way to assert control, maintain power.
What happened next is just brutal. They were tied up, beaten, and then strangled. Asha's own father, her uncle, and her brother, they were the ones who killed them.
And then, to make a statement, to send a message, they put their bodies on display in the courtyard for everyone to see. It's a way of reinforcing their power, silencing anyone who might question them. A horrific use of fear to control the community. I mean, it's not just about punishment, is it? Putting the bodies out there like that. It's about control. It's a very deliberate way of saying, this is what happens if you challenge us.
Yeah, and the whole community was shaken. This case, the Narela Honor Killing, it was everywhere. The Delhi police, of course, they started investigating immediately. There was so much public outrage, and the media was all over it.
You'd think a crime like this would, I don't know, make everyone speak out, right? But what the investigators found was really a lot of silence. A lot of people in the community, they were afraid to say anything against Asha's family.
It's hard to understand. I mean, how can you see something so brutal and not be outraged? But I guess in a community where loyalty and tradition mean everything, speaking out can have serious consequences.
Exactly, and that's part of the problem. This silence just allows these kinds of things to keep happening. Turning a blind eye, it becomes normal, and that's dangerous.
But thankfully, some people did come forward. The police had forensic evidence too. Fingerprints, DNA, all pointing directly at Asha's family. And there were witnesses who saw what happened.
And when they were questioned, the family members, they confessed, right? But the thing is, they didn't show any remorse. They actually tried to justify what they did, saying it was necessary to protect their family's honor. It's a disturbing reminder of how deeply these ideas are ingrained.
So the trial began in 2011. And it wasn't just about the crime itself. It was about all those deep-rooted societal beliefs that led to it. Caste, honor, the role of family in India, it all came to the forefront.
And the court, they didn't waste any time. Asha's father, uncle, and brother, they were all found guilty of murder, sentenced to life in prison. It was a huge moment. It felt like maybe, just maybe, the justice system was starting to push back against these harmful traditions.
Yeah, definitely. And it sparked a national debate, right? There was relief, of course, that justice was served. But there were also people who still believed that family honor justified these actions.
Absolutely. And it highlights, how difficult it is to change deeply held beliefs. Change takes time. And it requires a change not just in laws, but in people's minds as well.
The Narela Honor Killing, it forced India, and really the whole world, to look at the reality of honor-based violence. It showed that this wasn't an isolated incident, it's a widespread problem.
It definitely was a wake-up call. And activists, lawyers, they started pushing for stronger laws specifically against honor killings. They argued that the existing laws didn't really address the specific reasons behind these crimes, the societal pressures that drive them.
They wanted harsher penalties, more protection for people who defied these societal norms, especially for couples who chose love, even if it meant going against their families.
Because love shouldn't be a crime, and everyone should have the right to choose their own path, their own life, without fear.
Yeah, it's basic human rights, right? The case also showed how important it is to have support systems for couples facing threats from their families. Safe houses, legal aid, counseling, all of that. It's about helping people escape dangerous situations and build new lives for themselves.
Exactly. Lives built on their own choices, not on fear and oppression.
So the Narela Honor Killing, it was a tragedy. But it also opened up a space for important conversations, pushing forward the fight for justice and equality. And it reminds us that sometimes progress comes out of these terrible events, that the fight for a more just and compassionate world never really ends.
It's important to remember, too, this case, it wasn't just an Indian issue. It resonated around the world, didn't it? It showed everyone that this kind of violence, honor-based violence, it's global. It's not limited to one culture or country.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call, for sure. That even today, in the 21st century, people are still using honor to justify violence and control. It makes you think, As you question what we're really doing to protect people.
And it's even more complicated when you consider that honor-based violence often goes hand in hand with other forms of oppression. Women, LGBTQ+ individuals, anyone who challenges traditional gender roles or religion, they become targets.
It's all about power, isn't it? Tradition and patriarchy, they get twisted and used as weapons to keep people in line, to stop them from having autonomy, from making their own choices.
Exactly. So fighting honor killings, it's not just about changing the laws, it's about breaking down those systems of oppression, challenging those deep-seated beliefs that link a family's honor to what their members do, especially the women.
It's a huge task, changing mindsets like that. But we have to do it. We have to promote equality, empower people to make their own decisions without fear, And the Narela case, it proves that change is possible.
Right. And we are seeing progress. There are more awareness campaigns now, more education initiatives, more support services for victims and potential victims.
And the media, too. They've been shining a light on this issue. Starting conversations, holding those in power accountable, that's crucial.
Absolutely. But we can't stop there. We need to create a culture where everyone's rights are respected, where love and choice are celebrated, where violence is never the answer.
Asha and Yogesh, their story, it's a tragic reminder of what happens when prejudice takes over. It's a call to action for all of us, to fight injustice, to challenge harmful traditions, to stand up for everyone's right to live a life free from fear.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left with some questions. How can we, as individuals and communities, really make a difference? How can we support those who are most at risk? And how do we create a world where love and acceptance win?
It's an ongoing journey, building a more just and compassionate world. But we have to keep at it. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Narela Honor Killing. If you found this insightful, consider following and subscribing to CrimePod Castle for more stories like this, more important conversations. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning the world around you.